Called an African Harry Potter, Nnedi Okorafor's Akata Witch gives us an alternative view of the hidden magic all around us. So what can writers learn from this? Hi there. I'm Luke Morris from Creative Writing Corner, and this is a Writer Reviews. And today we are talking about, as I just showed you, Akata Witch by Nnedi Okorafor. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. I apologize if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. Someone could correct me. I'd be happy to be corrected. But otherwise, Nnedi Okorafor. That's how I'm pronouncing it there. So, Sunny Nwazu, the main character of this novel, is an Amerigerian. She's born to Nigerian parents in America. She lived the first 9 years of her life in New York prior to moving to Nigeria 3 years before the story starts. That's one way that Sunny is an outsider. She's Nigerian technically, but she's also American technically. Another is that she's an albino. While most of the people around her are various shades of brown or black, she's not. She's much more of a yellow color, right? And her skin and hair, they're both pale yellow. She can't go out in the sun without an umbrella. Her peers mock her for being an American white girl, which she's actually neither of, but it's one of those common insults. And another insult they throw at her is Akata, which is an Igbo word meaning, according to the translation in here, bush animal. So it's a way of insulting basically American-born blacks from the Nigerian perspective. Then she makes friends, and they introduce her to juju, or magic. She finds out that she's a leopard person, someone who can work magic, and she discovers that she has a dangerous task ahead of her. Basically, she's got to hunt down a serial killer. A magical serial killer. So, as is the case with many stories, the protagonist makes or breaks the tale. Here, she's a plucky, bullied, misunderstood, wise beyond her years, 12-year-old witch. The deck is stacked against her, but she's not hiding her head in the sand or moping about her state. She's taking the bull by the horns, pursuing her learning with a passion. That's the kind of hero that readers love to root for. We don't want to root for a passive hero. We don't want to root for a hero who's got everything going for them the entire time. We don't want to root for a Mary Sue, right? We want to root for a character who has to struggle and learn and grow. So she's a very relatable hero, an easy hero for us to invest in, an easy underdog, but a plucky, hard-working underdog that we want to be on the side of. The side characters are easy to invest in, too. We get to know the rest of Sunny's coven. They actually call themselves a coven. And they're all kids like her, but unlike her, they've known about and been part of leopard society their whole lives. So we're seeing it from her point of view, from the point of view of an outsider surrounded by insiders. Do you see some of the parallels that people make to Harry Potter here? This is not just an African Harry Potter, by the way. That sells it way short. It's a very different story. But when you have kids who learn that they're secretly magical and that there's a secret magical world within our own real world as we go, the comparisons are bound to be made. All right, of course, Harry Potter didn't come up with that. Susan Cooper's The Dark is Rising series was doing that decades before Harry Potter did it. But it's what we got. It is a Harry Potter-like story, as is Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series, right? It's a very common trope these days. But she doesn't actually go away to a school. She stays at home. She just happens to, and she goes to regular school. She just happens to be doing training on the side with the leopard people. I'm not going to try to go into too many spoilers here, guys, because I want you guys to go ahead and read this book. So, each of the side characters has their own distinct traits that make them feel like real people. Orlu, Sunny's best friend and crush, is a calm, level-headed, and dyslexic tall boy. Sasha, an African-American boy, is a hot-headed troublemaker. He's the only one who does not speak Igbo, actually, the only one who's purely not Nigerian. And Chi-Chi, the other girl, is enigmatic and mysterious. She's made even more so by her unique skill set and her photographic memory. So we've got Sunny, her main character, Orlu, best friend, love interest, Chi-Chi, and Sasha. Sasha's a boy, Chi-Chi's a girl. And Chi-Chi and Sasha become a couple very quickly. And Sunny and Orlu, maybe. We'll see. So, a little bit of a spoiler there, I guess, but not spoiling too much because all this happens early on. Even the mentor characters, who have very interesting names. The mentor characters, but we only see a little of them. They have their own individuality, and that makes them memorable in our minds. So, there's one character called Sweet Cream. She's actually one of the major mentor characters. Fun names in the story. Each character is a distinct individual. That's what really hit me about this as a writer, reading this as a writer, is that each character has their own individuality, and we see them all. It's all told through Sunny's perspective, in a third-person limited perspective. So we see the other characters through Sunny's eyes, and we come to care about them in the same way that Sunny does. This is a brilliant way to build reader investment in your characters. Make them care about your protagonist, and then they'll care about who your protagonist cares about. Pretty simple, right? If they care about them, they'll care about who they care about. And so you can use your protagonist as an in to get your audience and get your reader to invest in all your other characters. Beyond characterization, Akata Witch's other great strength is in its world building. So in the world of the leopard people, deformities become strengths. Sunny's albinism, for instance. It doesn't allow her to go out in the sun, although she magically recovers from that, but it does allow her to become invisible and to glide on the wind. She's basically the Vision. Orlu's dyslexia lets him excel at taking apart bad juju. He can undo evil spells. Every character has something imperfect to them, some kind of flaw, what people might consider a flaw, that actually makes them better, that actually gives them a unique strength. The celebration of uniqueness is built into the world and its characters. It's built into the fictional world. It's built into the world of the leopard people. They celebrate uniqueness because each person's uniqueness is what makes their magic theirs, and this makes it unique and distinct. So the way the magic or juju works is really cool. It's a mix of inherent natural abilities, powders, and spells, and each of those has a dangerous side, much of which could kill the user if it's improperly done. So juju makes this magical world feel in many ways more real and more deadly than Rowling's Hogwarts. Right? Hogwarts, they're constantly doing dangerous magic, but very rarely is anyone dying, even if they make mistakes on spells. Whereas in Akata Witch, if someone makes a mistake on a lot of these spells, death is very often the result, which is why you're only limited to certain spells at certain times. And there's not really a distinction between black magic and white magic or evil magic and good magic. There's just magic and what you choose to do with it. Also, magical money is a very... you probably are familiar with the magical money system in Harry Potter, which is a whole bunch of coins. In here, it's basically just a bunch of little metal rods, bent metal rods of different kinds of metal, and it appears out of nowhere and just kind of falls at your feet, or falls at a leopard person's feet whenever the leopard person learns something about magic or about the world around them. So learning is how they get rich, which is a pretty great magical system, honestly. I mean, if that magical system was around here nowadays, I would have so much money because I spend so much time learning. It's my favorite thing to do. But unfortunately, as far as I know, I am not a leopard person. I think I would know by now. Most people seem to find out early in life, but I have not done a magical spell that I can prove. Details. Anyway, it's fun to discover this stuff alongside Sunny. It's fun to basically, her journey becomes our journey. We follow along with the characters. Her reactions to what's happening are believable because they're similar to how we might react if we were confronted with such a crazy world ourselves. So, characterization and world building are both top-notch in this book. If there is a downside, it's that we don't really get to know the antagonist very well. So we don't get a lot about the central conflict. But then this is the first of a 2-book series, and the second book, which I've just started, is quite a bit longer. It's called Akata Warrior, and so I'm assuming that we're going to learn a lot more about the antagonistic force there. But the antagonist does not take up a whole lot of time in this first novel because a lot of it is about the protagonist and her journey and the characters around her and their journeys and their kind of journey as a group. And so they only have a brief encounter with the antagonist. Kind of like, well, in Harry Potter, we don't learn a whole lot about Voldemort, he who shall not be named, in the first book. We learn a little bit, but learn a lot more of him as we go along. So we only see little bits and pieces of him in the first book, kind of like we only see little bits and pieces of the antagonist in this first book, but enough to put the characters through a test, to test our main characters, to test our protagonists, and see if they are powerful enough to do what they need to do or if they are found wanting. I'm not even going to give any spoilers away, just going to say that it's definitely worth a read to see what they do. Now, some of my favorite fantasy authors, including Ursula K. Le Guin, Diana Wynne Jones, author of Howl's Moving Castle, Jonathan Stroud of the Bartimaeus trilogy, and Neil Gaiman, one of my favorite living authors these days, they've all praised Okorafor's work, and I can see why. Her characterization and world building are truly top-notch. Writers could do a lot worse than reading Nnedi Okorafor. Even if you're not a YA or fantasy author, you could learn a lot about building a fictional world, about creating characters, crafting relationships between those characters, and earning reader investment right through the climax of your story by reading Akata Witch. So, again, the individuality of those characters is what really makes them unique and interesting. That's what I would say take away from this above all else. That and the interesting world building and the way it's intertwined and ingrained into these people's stories. So thanks for tuning into this writer's review. If you've read or plan to read Akata Witch or any of Nnedi Okorafor's other works, leave a comment below and let me know what you think of it. I'd love to hear some feedback. Also, leave a comment letting me know what other books I should read and review from a writer's perspective. What should be my next A Writer Reviews? How can I help you write better? So please don't forget to like this video, guys, and subscribe to the channel. Click the little bell icon there so you get a notification whenever I post a new video so you don't miss any new writing tips or tricks as they come up. And grab your free character creation guide. Create compelling characters. Free for you in the description below. Go ahead and click on that. And good luck and good writing, my friends. I will talk to you next time. Peace.